Good morning. Alright, so saw my chair was a bit wobbly. It's still trying to sort. I'll check it after the stream. So here we are, we're back. Yeah, I worked out where it went wrong yesterday. So obviously prepared, we have one ready, and obviously I'll take you through about the Raspberry Pi itself. Literally all we're going to do today, and it will be broken down to, like as the stream says, it's Electronics Journey Part 1, Raspberry Pi setup. So it's going to be setting up the Raspberry Pi with the OS. I'll show you how to set that up with the SD card. I'll show you what you need first, obviously. We'll go into what is available out there, what I've actually got. I was quite impressed looking this morning. There's a new one coming. I'll show you an alternative which can be cheaper, but I don't think it is now the new one's coming out. We'll see. Obviously we'll talk about that in a bit. So yeah, we'll get the Raspberry Pi set up. I'll show you how to get into it through an application called PuTTY, which is using SSH terminal commands. And then for ease, the way we'll do it is we'll get the VNC working, which basically is a virtual desktop. Sorry, a virtual connection into the machine to show you the desktop, which is live. And obviously that's how I do a lot of the tweaking and that when it comes to the electronic side and the train side of things as well. Obviously this is on Twitch at the moment. It will be getting broadcasted to YouTube as well once I've finished. Debating whether to edit it or not, so if I haven't edited it, hello YouTube, thanks for joining in. This is a multi-series program. I did have some thinking this morning. I was going to go, right, this is how you do the Raspberry Pi setup, this is how you do the Arduino setup, this is how you do the ESP32 setup, and like all the technologies, like part one will always be set up in one chunk. Then we'll go do an LED with a Raspberry Pi, with an Arduino, with an ESP32. I thought about it and I thought it's going to be too much information overload. Let's just start it, get this set up, and then once we get a bit further through, we might throw in the Arduino, like have a break from the Pi for a bit, do a bit of the Arduino, have a break from that, just to span it all out. So the intention is at least a minimum once a week we'll be doing the stream to add this up. Obviously during kids holidays I'll not be able to, because I'll have them around us all day. So obviously at least once a week we'll definitely be doing this. It might even be when it gets close to school holidays, I'll do 2 a week. I've got a feeling next week I've got Theo, so we'll see how that goes. I can't remember, because I've got a feeling the childminder's on holiday, then the week after is the half term, but we'll see. It might even be that I end up just recording one in the night time and just publishing it out there. We'll see though. So obviously we need to get the ball rolling, because it has been a long time since we did some streaming. So here we go. I'm just going to go through to the other screen. That's the one. And just going to double check, do I have that on? No, not yet. Let me make sure to get the other camera going before we move on. Deactivate, activate. Yeah, so that's there. Right, so I can hide that just for the time being. So yeah, this is the Raspberry Pi. Obviously I've just turned that off. We do need that on. That's the application. So what we've got here, as I showed yesterday, this is the Raspberry Pi right here, this unit here. What this is, it has the Ethernet adapter, so it has an Ethernet in. It has 4 USB ports. One of them I've obviously got with the Wi-Fi dongle into it. It has the HDMI out, which is right there. It has audio out, and it has the GPIO, which obviously that's what we will be using. Thanks for the follow there, Bear Fists. Much appreciated. I think you've actually hit number 80, so you will hit the goal of 80. Thanks for joining. So yeah, the GPIO is right there. Obviously we will be using that throughout this tutorial. Obviously it is hard to see the pins on the cameras. I will have the diagrams, Fritzen diagrams, obviously to point out where we're going to be. We'll do that through the screen. You also have the facility on the Raspberry Pi to have a camera, which is this one. So you can have a ribbon camera in there. You can also have, which is just hiding under here with the Arduino, pointy tool, Q-tip, just over here. That there is an LCD screen that you can add to it, so you can have quite a few of them. I'm trying to think, do I have one close by? No, you can get a small LCD screen. You can also get quite a large one, which I thought I had right next to us, which I don't. I thought I did. I've got that much stuff lying around. I might do. Nope, that's not it. I think it's in the rest of the the electronic kit that's out there, which is quite a large. I think it's an 8-inch touch screen is what you can get for it, and obviously with a touch screen it makes it a tablet basically. And I've seen quite a few people use that. Again, with this Raspberry Pi, it is a micro credit card sized computer. Let's see if I've got a non-dodgy card that we could use. Well, I say non-dodgy, obviously one that doesn't have my information on. Yeah, I'll use my old British Biker Foundation card. So we've got a card there. As you can see, it is exactly the same size as a card. Credit card size PC. Originally designed to try and get kids, and this is over, it's 10 or 11 years ago. It was designed to try and get kids into electronics and computing, back the way we did it back in the 80s. So back in the 80s and 90s, it was the 90s when I was doing it, we had the BBC computers, which was turn on the traffic lights, and that was about as much as we did at school, because they didn't show much. So obviously they brought these out to try and get kids more into the electronic side of things. And it's moved well ahead now. I did have one of the older Pis, because it uses, which I can't show you because it's underneath, micro SD card. There's obviously the operating system on it. It used to be a bog standard, the big SD cards, which had 256 kilobyte memory. No, megabytes of memory, so they were really low powered, but it still did what you wanted it to do, because it was using Linux, or Raspberry as they call their variant of it. It used that, which obviously is a lightweight operating system. I love Linux. If I could move everything to Linux, I would. But obviously a lot of these things are not designed for Linux. It's all designed for Windows or Mac OS, which, when people say Mac OS is the greatest operating system ever, here's a little fact for you. Mac OS is actually Linux. It's the paid for Linux, which is locked down by Apple. Back end of it is Linux. It's terminal, back end, everything in there. It's using a Linux kernel. It's Linux. Granted, it's got the Apple Store because they've added their code into it and locked it down, but the root of it is Linux. So really, there's only two operating systems out there, which is your Windows and Linux. Well, there is actually more than that, but obviously if you just want to narrow it down for the easiness, Linux and Windows, that's it. Mac OS, yeah, it looks good, but you'll see once we get this up and running, you can make this Raspberry Pi look like a Windows machine. You can make it look like a Mac OS X. But yeah, so obviously that is the Raspberry Pi model, Raspberry Pi 2 Model B. They're up to 5. I've just read this morning 5 is coming out, which if I bring up the screen over here. And I didn't know this until this morning, and I had a look, and it's coming this month. Because I don't really keep up to date on what the Pi's come out, because the Raspberry Pi 4 was that powerful. It sold out instantly. You could not get your hands on them, which was a shame, unfortunately. Do I have a favourite Linux? Debian. Debian is my favourite Linux. I don't use the GUI. I do everything in terminal command. It's very rarely that I use the GUI. But obviously when I do these side of things, along with, because you're a first time tuner in Barefists, what I'm actually doing, I used to do a lot of gaming on the stream, but my kids are into the DCC operated trains, and I'm fascinated with like how it works, and I created through this setup here a controller to control 00HO scale trains. It also does the N scale trains, which the idea for the stream is show people how to use the Raspberry Pi. Let's get that up and running. And I know how to use it, but obviously I just do the cheat way of copy and paste,
we're going to start at the basics, turn on an LED, turn on a motor, turn off a motor, push a button, does something. But then we've got the Arduino, which is underneath all this, because the Arduino is actually what controls the trains itself, and I have created a box using DCCEX, which is the build that they use for controlling the model scale trains. But obviously there's more I want to do with that. I don't want to just start and stop a train and press to play the sounds because we've got sound logos. I want to build a crossroads which has a sensor when the train gets close to it or touches it, passes it, that the crossroads will come down and the lights will start flashing, and once it's moved over it'll go up and reset itself. Same with just making everything automated but not automated, if you know what I mean. All using sensors, but learn how to do it, because as I say, I can plug stuff in and go, right, copy and paste from someone else's code and go, right, that's how you do it, but I've never learned, which is where on this, the way I'm going to be doing it is obviously I do have guides on what we need to do to go through this step by step. I'm not going to copy and paste it, I'm going to sit and manually type it. I do have the website as well of worldofnorgoth.co.uk. When I put them on there, I'm going to point to where the tutorial file is, which is from Freenove, which is the kits that I have been buying and building up. But when I put it on the website, obviously I'll say, oh, this is where you can get the PDF. But when I do the website of things, I'm just going to do a screenshot. So it's going to make you guys type it all out, because I've said it many times, copy and pasting, we'll never learn. It's one of the things, it's so quick, we'll get through it, but just don't learn from that. But if we start typing out and go, well, actually, what does that do? What does this do? If we did this, what does that do? So that's the idea behind, like, that's how you think. But I see it all building up to the model railway, which, when we move house, we are going to do a bigger model railway using this electronics. So let's get the head start, instead of, like, we're building it and now we're going to add these things. Let's learn these things now in preparation for when we do the full scale model railway, which we'll be doing on the stream as well. I'll get that going. So obviously it's not just going to be electronics. I do have some things with the trains that I want to add into it. Like I was showing yesterday, I've got a couple of coaches that I want to add some LED lights into. Yeah, it's just one of the things with Twitch, because it's all game related. That's why it's like, well, why do I put it on just chat and I'll find something. But I am going to be putting this to YouTube as well. Yeah, so I've got these, I'll show you. It's easiest to show you. So I bought a few carriages, because obviously in the UK it's 00 scale from Hornby, American's HO, which is 1/87th scale. So I bought these coaches yesterday, which obviously I can show better, because yesterday was like this, but now I've got this camera. So obviously these are the HO scale trains. What I want to do is, inside there is nothing. It's an empty shell. I'm not going to take it apart, it's quite fiddly. But I want to actually add some LED lights into the top of this, obviously inside. Now you can buy a kit to do that, but it uses a watch battery and a reed switch, which obviously is just passing a magnet over to turn the switch on and off. But it's using a watch battery, which if it goes flat, you've then got to take it apart, or if you finish with it and you put it all away and you forget to turn the light off, you've got a dead battery. And then if you start the trains off going, oh shit, I forgot to turn that off. So I was saying, and I said this to the guys in the local train shop, which I ain't a train fanatic, I'm learning as I go along. I just find the electronic side of it very interesting, on what we can potentially do out there. And even me having the conversation with our local train shop guy, he's like, it's amazing what I know you want to learn, Gav, and it can be possible. He says, but I haven't got a clue, which I said, well, this is where the stream's going to come into it. So yeah, I want to put the LED lights in there, but powered through the tracks, because at the end of the day, there's voltage going through the tracks. So why can't we use the power coming through the tracks into these? So obviously that's what we'll be doing. I've got some test track there, which obviously I haven't got it on this Arduino, but I have got it on this Arduino over here, because I've got two setups. Obviously we're going to use this one for the tutorial stuff. When it comes to the Arduinos, we've got two different Arduinos in here. But on this Arduino, it has the motor board done by DCEX. I bought theirs just out of curiosity, it's just testing. So obviously, like underneath, if I take that off, that's the Arduino Mega. but it's got built-in Wi-Fi, which is a new variant, not officially by Elegoo, not Elegoo, from Arduino themselves. It is a clone, but obviously it's got the Wi-Fi chip built in. That saves on this one because that board on the top here is the Wi-Fi board. So that removes that and it puts it straight into that board. Now this board here is an expansion board, which basically gives you more GPIOs and all that. But underneath, if I can get this one off because they are quite tough. Yep. Underneath here is the Arduino Mega, which if I put them side by side, they're both the same. It's just a few more components on it. So obviously, this one here. There's my Q-tip which ran away. I've got no more Q-tips. Where I've put it. That's actually the processing, the CPU there, which is also on that one. So this one is one of the official ones. This one isn't. But obviously, as you can see, the outside is always the same. It's still got the same power. It's still got the same USB. It's got the same chip. Reset buttons there, reset buttons over here on that one, so they are in two different places. But see, this one has the Wi-Fi built into it, so it removes that board. So that's why I say, well, let's see how we do this one. Let's do the same on this one. You know, and see, is there much difference to them or not? Is it better doing this setup with the original, or is it better doing this setup or not? But obviously the beauty with the Arduinos is it has the shields, which obviously that's what these are called, shields. You can just keep building up. So obviously I've got the expansion, the Wi-Fi, and then the motor board. So see, this is DCEX's official motor board that they created, which has a few more tweaks to it as opposed to the ones that's out there on the market. And I have trialed and tested a lot of them. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I'm not bothered going. Oh no, I need to put this one back on. Yeah, some are decent, some are just terrible. So that's why they're saying like you just got to be careful which ones to use. So I bought the official one. I do have other ones up there. So anyway, we're sidetracking there. So let me get that one back there. So yeah, it's just all. I see a lot of tutorials out there on the internet, and yeah, they're great, but I'm not going to learn myself either by just following someone else's. That's why I wanted to do this as we're going through. And like I say, it's to teach my kids as well. Look what we can do. So say like with the Raspberry Pi, it wasn't just the electronic side. One thing they did do is Piecraft, which obviously kids love Minecraft, I think. I know they did back in the day, but they had their own variation of Minecraft for the Raspberry Pi, which wasn't like the full game that you can get there now. It was a really dumbed down version, but it looked the same, it ran the same. But what they done was, they had it where you could add buttons to the GPIO, so if they pressed a button, it would drop a block. Or if they pressed a button, it would do an event in the game. And obviously they built that up with some of the programming technology, and it wasn't just sitting programming. They've got a program called Scratch that they use, which is just like a jigsaw they put together. Again, I've not used Scratch, I've seen it, and I think it's really good for kids because it's jigsaw pieces that put together on like, if this happens, and then it might have like a triangle ended part of the jigsaw piece, and if they try putting a rounded piece, it'll be like, well no, that's not going to work because it has to fit. So if it's a triangle ended part, it has to be a triangle ended part for what it's going to do next, and then it would piece through. It's really clever. We might touch on it, we might not, I don't know, we'll see. A lot of this is going to be done in Python, which again, I don't know Python. I've played around with Python. I can sit and read it, work out potentially what's wrong, and then try and fix it. But I'm not an expert, and this is what I want to teach myself. So obviously as well, so like the reason I'm doing this is I don't work now. I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad. So obviously this is to keep my mind active. Check on past streams, you'll find out what's happened. My head's been all over. So I'm in a good place now doing this. So back on the track. So this is a Raspberry Pi, like we showed before. This too is a Raspberry Pi, so this is smaller than the credit card. So if I highlight that over that one, as you can see, it's a lot smaller in size. Now this is the check that out, the Raspberry Pi Nano. Raspberry Pi Zero. Nano's the Arduino stuff. Raspberry Pi Zero, which has Wi-Fi built into it. This one doesn't because it's an older generation. This one does. The only drawbacks of this one is it doesn't have the USBs. It's got micro USB, so you need a micro USB dongle. It has the HDMI out, but it's micro HDMI out. So again, you'd have to get an adapter. It still uses the same SD card, which goes just there. It has the same 40-pin GPIO. It does have camera out, but it doesn't have TFT screen out. But again, you can't add to it. These are ideal for, let's think what we would use these for. If you wanted to create an access point, if you wanted to create a wireless access point to bridge the network over, because obviously you can get a micro USB to Ethernet adapter, which again, I've seen people do that with these. They've had them running open WRT. I've seen people use them as proxy servers. If you wanted for just quick cheap browsing, you could just use this. Obviously because it's got the HDMI out, it can plug into your TV, so you could watch YouTube, you could Kodi. That's why these got so popular, because you could run Kodi on it, obviously the multimedia platform. But again, we're not going to use this one. I brought it out just obviously to show you. I got this free on one of the magazines, which was the Raspberry Pi magazine, which is free PDF to download. They do a paper edition as well, and on one of the paper editions they give you the free Pi. It was a £5 magazine and the Pi was £5. So really I could have just bought this without buying the magazine, but it's just like, it's nice to have. I think I've got two of these knocking around, because I'm one of these people that just buys things in twos. So just pop it over there. I need to sort that board out because the pins are all over. So I'm just going to pop that up there. So yeah, Raspberry Pi. Let's see, they've got now Raspberry Pi 5 on its way out. Obviously it's a lot more powerful than what this one is. The big thing I saw on this, and I haven't read this yet, I just quickly skimmed through it. They've got the active cooler, which obviously just shows it's going to be a powerful bit of kit. Like this one's only 2 gig of memory in this one. The new ones is between 4 gig and 8 gig of memory, so they're a lot more powerful. It has the, I wonder what that noise was, it's the phones. Obviously it's got Bluetooth 5 in there and Bluetooth low energy, so that's capabilities in there. It's using USB-C, which obviously we know everything's going USB-C these days. This is micro USB for the power, so obviously that helps. It's got the built-in real-time clock. This one doesn't. It relies on the internet to get the clock for live updates. But the big thing I say on this one, obviously it's got the 4K encoder. And I think why they've brought this one out is because of this little bit of kit here, which this looks like a Raspberry Pi. It's the same size, just hasn't got the same amount of GPIO on it. This is an orange Pi, which are out there. Now this, I bought this just out of curiosity to see how powerful it was, and yeah, it is very powerful. So this has the Ethernet out, it has 2 USB 3s there, USB 2 sitting there. It has the HDMI out, which is there. Ignore this white case that I printed this case. It has the audio, so everything is nearly in the same place as the Pi. What this one does have that this one doesn't is it has the SD card reader, which is hidden somewhere. Oh yeah, it's underneath, because obviously I don't need it, that's why I put this case on. It's got the SD card reader on it, which obviously you can run the operating system from the SD card. It does run Android on here. That's how they ship them out through with Android on. You can't put Windows on it. You can't put Linux on it. But the key thing with this is it has a NAND on it. So with the NAND, that means you can get rid of the SD card. So the operating system is built on here, so it's a lot quicker than having the SD card run on it. So that's what I've done on this. I can actually power this up now and connect to it and have a bit of play around. Now we will look at this at some point as well, because obviously this is a 40-pin GPIO on the Raspberry Pi. This is only a 20. I think it's 20 on this one. So it's like, how can we do on here, because I may use this one in the train system rather than the Raspberry Pi, which is where I've now got the decision to make of, do I go and buy a Raspberry Pi 5 when they come out or not, because I've got this bit of kit. Now there's a few variations out there. I think this one is about £50 to buy, where the new Raspberry Pi 5, which is a lot more powerful than this one, but I don't see the NAND on that yet. I didn't see it when I looked there. Yeah, it doesn't have the NAND on it, but we'll see. Now, I did have a quick browse to think, oh, how much is this going to be? What we're going to get ripped off on this one. So obviously this is raspberry.com, it gives the approved sellers. Key sellers I use, the Pi Hut, I've always used them. And this company here, Pimoroni, they've been pretty good companies that I've used. So I did a bit of a compare between both of them, and they're the same price. So you've got the 4 gig retail in it, and we'll round that, £60. The 8 gig is £79 for them. If I was going to buy this, I'd just go the 8 gig. Just always go the top, because for the sake of an extra, extra £20, you're getting double the memory. It's a handy thing to have. I say when I compared it with this one, the prices were the same. Now on this one, obviously I've marked out what I would go for. I'd get the cooler, and only because they've got one out there. It's if Raspberry Pi is selling, like the Raspberry Pi Foundation is selling the active cooler for this bit of kit, you're probably going to need it. Beauty of the cooler that I noticed was the pin, which if you can just make out here, I'll do it that way. The pin up here is actually for the fan, and they've never done that with fan pins before. So obviously the cooler plugs in there, and you've still got your 40 pin GPIO. Like I say, it's got the memory on it. So I'd always get the cooler, and I would just throw a case in just to protect it. On these, I'm not bothered. I've got plenty of them knocking around. I've got 7 or 8 Pis, all different variations in the house. But yeah, so that's what I would be going for. If I was going to buy something fresh, just get your hands on one of them. And even if you don't use it straight away, they're going to sell out like hotcakes. They always do. I reckon as soon as that 23rd of October's hit, when they're getting the stock, they'll not be arriving back in stock until 2024. Middle of. I can just see it happening, because Raspberry Pi 4, one of the only ones I never got. I've got them all from the very first variation. You couldn't get your hands on it. I still think to this day you can't get your hands on them, which is why they've built their own chip. So obviously this little bit here, which has the little Pi logo on, you can't really see it on that. So I'll show you. Yeah, this here is actually their own like CPU chip that they designed and created, and that was the bit that was holding them back. It's interesting that they've got the resistors for the memory there. So they must have been going to do a 1 gig and a 2 gig variant. Interesting. But anyway, sidetracking. So that's raspberry.com, gives you a lot of information on the device itself, history. We have the raspberrypi.org, which this is the teaching. Obviously this is where they're trying to push it into the schools and what people have done. As you can see, just skimming through it, spaces in there, AstroPi, games people have created. There's loads of stuff on you. AI, it's the big thing that they're doing on it. Robotics, you can do that on you. Some of the kits you can buy is actually building your own remote control car, controlled by Bluetooth, and the main processing part of it is the Raspberry Pi. Cool little kits out there, there's loads, and this is why, in all honesty, if you just want to start from scratch, start with these. Just start with the Pi, and then look at what you want to do and go. You can buy one of these big kits, which can be great, but it could just be too much for yourselves. If you're going to start from scratch, look at them kits, which is what I've got, the original Elegoo kit for the Arduino, and I bought that many years ago. Never used it, bought for my son, he took no interest in it, didn't even get out the box, left. This is why I've took it on, and I'm going to do it myself. I looked at that kit, the Elegoo kit, then compared it against FreeNove's kit, and go, right, what does I have that I don't have from the other kit? So that's the way I've sort of added into it, and all I've done is went on AliExpress, found some of the electronic stores, and just bought from there. And a lot of the AliExpress stuff is a lot cheaper than going through your Amazon. Granted, you're going to wait a week minimum for it to get on the slow boat from China. I've never had a problem yet. I had a friend over that I went to school with, and I hadn't seen him since '98. He came over recently. We always spoke like at least once a year to check on each other, saying happy birthday. And I started talking about this, what I was going to do. And he says, oh, I've been buying this for that and this for that. Because he's getting back into the electronic stuff, because at school we never really got into it that much. But now we've shown a massive interest. And I said, oh, I've just bought all this off AliExpress, £70. He's like, that's a lot. I went, yeah, I know. I said, but look, I said, here's the item here. And we found one item was something like £3 or £4. Check Amazon.com, and it was £15 for exactly the same item. What people were doing was buying them all, a load of them, and then just reselling them on Amazon.com or even eBay, just reselling what they're getting from China. So I've got a load of boxes out there, unopened stuff, and just cheaper just buying from China on AliExpress. If people do need to know, obviously drop it in the comments on YouTube or the website or the Discord, because we have got the Discord, which I think if I press that one, yep, there we go, the Discord's linked on there. Obviously join the Discord, and if people do want to know which AliExpress stores use, I can point you in the right ones. I've never been scammed on AliExpress yet, obviously because I do my research. But yeah, there's some good stuff out there, and some of it's a hell of a lot cheaper. As I say, people just rebrand it when they hit the UK, or they get it at the States. Like when I was talking to the train guy up at the shop, he bought something like 10 LEDs for a £5, like bright whites. And I went, which ones? And he showed us. I went, what, these here that I can get 100 for £3? He went, really? So I'd actually went and bought them and brought them in and we compared them. He went, the bloody same one, yeah, because the guy's just rebranding them as his own company, but they're not. They've come from elsewhere. So yeah, that's some things. So one thing before we do move on to the key bit, when it comes to the electronic side, and obviously this is where we talked about. So I'll get one of the boxes that has the stuff that I prepared for the stream. So obviously this is one of my fishing boxes that I've got a lot of stuff in there for. In here I have, see, these are all the AliExpress specials that I bought. This is one of the things I was thinking of in my head of learning. Well, is it possible? I found out it is because there's a company already doing it, which I think their brochure's there. So this little package here, obviously never opened, AliExpress one. It's a white one. So in here is, it's an OLED screen. As you can see, it's quite a small one. When I was talking to Mick about it, because it just uses 4 pins on the back. Obviously, it's got power, ground, input, output. I was saying to Mick, I said, look, I said, you could get something like that, and that there could be like an active, like, train timetable. You could put anything on it. He really went, yes. I showed him. He went, actually, Gav, he says, that there was £3, AliExpress. So I think this is it. You see here, Train Tech. I'll just find their screen. Oh, well, I'm just there. Obviously, it's different size. I can't get these ones, but Train Tech do one, and there they've done it there. Now that little screen there, with a few wires hanging off it, which you've still got to do this side of things, is £20 odd. Just like I've just paid £3 for something that's going to do the same. So I'm going to look at that version on AliExpress and buy that as well, so we can replicate what they've done. So that's why I've picked up this catalogue from his, because a lot of it is like, oh, these are the things that I want to do. So instead of spending a hell of a lot of money on their versions, let's do a cheaper version. I have not seen the price of their relay controllers, but the thing is, a relay controller is a relay controller at the end of the day, and then you can pick up pretty cheap. I'm just looking for their screens. So yeah, when I said about the lighting, so there's the lighting strip using a watch battery. Not that you can make it out that much, but yeah, their lighting strip using a watch battery. No, let's just use the power on the lines. Let's try that. So that, as I say, that is the key thing I want to try. So there's the screens there that are showing what you can do with it. So I'm going to get that measurement screen, because that is literally the whole size of what you get. Find out what screen size it is, and then buy it ourselves to play around. But as I say, that's why I bought them before I'd even seen that it was possible. I'm trying not to research this stuff, like to see what is out there. I just want to go, is it possible? Can we just do it ourselves? Answer for this one, yeah, it is. But how we do it, we'll learn. We'll find out how. So I'll just put that back in my box, and then we'll get back to setting up this Raspberry Pi. So this bit yesterday when I tried took a few hours. But obviously I've got my USB reader in the side of my machine. inside the monitor. Obviously, I'm pointing to the monitor here. And I thought, oh, it must just because that was running slow. It wasn't because doing the full OS. Didn't need the full OS. So things that you'll need for this, for doing the firmware OS for the Raspberry Pi, is obviously a Raspberry Pi. It's a given. Micro SD card reader, which I'm showing this one. This is actually broke. That's why it's got a band around it. The proper one I've got in there. And then obviously a SD card. Now, as we know, they come in different sizes. That's a 64 gig one. I think I bought 3 of them for like £11. They don't have to be the greatest for what you're doing, you know, because the chuck away devices really. Because once you've built it, you can take a clone of that SD card and put on as many SD cards as you want, which is what I had to do with my other setup that I've got for the trains, because I actually destroyed it by doing a distribution upgrade, which I'll not be doing, and I'll do the stream when it's actually available. I went to the latest and it's not compatible with the Raspberry Pi yet, so it killed it, so I had to start from scratch. But I have a backup running constantly now on it. So you need an SD card, you need SD card reader. We don't need this yet. So what I can do is, if we get rid of this screen,
and then minimize this. This is the application, Raspberry Pi Imager. This is available on the raspberrypi.com. So I just got that. Let's go to software. So raspberrypi.com, Raspberry Pi iOS. There is download for Windows, Mac, or Ubuntu, or you can do it on the Raspberry Pi if you wanted. So yeah, brings up this application. So obviously, with the SD card reader, SD card in, plug it into USB, and then it gives you the choice of what you want to do. And this is where it shows you, this is only for Raspberry Pi. It gives you every OS that they have available to you, official and unofficial OS that they actually endorse, probably the best way to say it. So obviously Raspberry Pi iOS, they're running Debian. It's Raspberrian is what they used to call it. It's now Raspberry Pi OS, which is obviously using the Debian Bullseye latest kernel release. So I could select that one. I'm not going to do that yet. We'll look at the others. So obviously there is all the other ones that are out there. Now, because I'm using a Raspberry Pi 2, I'm 32-bit, not 64-bit. So obviously, as you can see there, they've got the different ones between the 64 and 32. They do have the Legacy as well, which obviously Legacy is for a hell of a lot older Raspberry Pis. If you want a general purpose iOS, you could run Ubuntu, which those who are fair with Linux knows Ubuntu is one of the common ones that are out there, because it basically makes it look like Windows. You've got the RISC OS, which obviously is for the home devices. I've never heard of that middle one, even though it says it's Debian. It does say it's for embedded systems. Never played around with that, but obviously you don't just have to go for the Debian. You can go for Ubuntu if you wanted, which again, Ubuntu is actually Debian, just with a different front end. If you want to do a media player, there you go. There's your different media players. So OSMC, formerly known as Kodi, that is in there. There's another Kodi one, Libra ELEC. They're probably only two that I have played around with. Haven't played around with the others, but if you want to do it, but I'm just showing like this. There's not just making it in a computer, you can make it into a multimedia center. One of the things, this is why I got the Orange Pi out of curiosity. I have an arcade machine upstairs which has a Windows 11 installed on it. I've had it for 10 years now. I built it from scratch and it needed an upgrade, and then I come across an application called Batacira OS, which you can run on a USB stick, which was great. Tried that, I was like, oh, that's good, which was what I've been doing upstairs. It's actually running the USB version of it on the machine upstairs. You can run that on these, and I believe it might be in here. No, it's not. Batacira isn't. You can do Batacira on the Raspberry Pi from their site. It's using, I can't remember what their front end is. Emulation Station is their front end, and then once it goes into an emulated game, it uses RetroPie, which obviously RetroPie was one of the big things, which again, that's what people are buying these Raspberry Pis for, to make arcade machines. Let's go back to nostalgia, let's play arcade machines, let's play your Super Nintendo, your Mega Drive games, as long as you have an official copy. But yeah, so obviously you can make it an arcade machine if you wanted. what else we got here? Digital signage. I have done this before, doing digital signage. When I worked in the factory, we had a Raspberry Pi on a television screen, and what it done was it played the sort of advertising video for the factory itself, the company that I worked for. It went through that, and then once it finished, I created a PowerPoint presentation which would say, welcome to Joe Blogs from so and so. So it was just like a welcome screen. It would change it every day, whoever was coming in, and that as soon as they turned the TV on, because obviously USB powered, which you can't power these Raspberry Pis just through the USB, which is exactly how we're going to be doing this. I'm not going to be going through straight to the mains. It just automatically ran. So as soon as they turned the TV on, that was it. They could walk away, and then they would remote into it and change like who's coming in that day, sort of thing. So digital signage is there. As it's saying, yeah, Home Assist. Not done it, but you can click on that. There's the Home Assist operating systems that's out there. The 3D printing. Yes, I do the 3D printing. Octopi, which is what I was saying before, is on there. That was one of the key ones. Octopi is what I use. I know a lot of people are going to Clipper for the 3D printers, and with that, which, can I get that open? Yeah. So like, I have the Raspberry Pi out there now, running. Let's see if I can bring that over here. It's not showing. Is it showing yet? Yes, it is. So this is Octopi. So this is my Raspberry Pi connected to my 3D printer, and this is actually sending all the codes to the printer to print. And again, it's just a Raspberry Pi, so it's talking to the printer and then obviously receiving it backwards. So obviously it knows the temperatures of everything. It's got the monitor in there that it's keeping a log of. I can control it. If I had the camera connected, it would show at the top here. If I look at the terminal, that's every line of code that's going from the Raspberry Pi to the printer to do the printing. I could visualize the bed for leveling. But then the one I like, the G-code viewer, that's what it's printing right now. So as you see, it's building along gradually with a slight movement. That's actually where the nozzle is printing. Now what this is printing is, for them carriages, I found someone's already done it, which makes it easier for me, has created the seating in there. So that's what it's printing at the moment, and it's just a trial to see if it works. But like, I can even go through and go, right, well, where's it started? So there's step 1, step 2, as it goes up the top, and then that's the bit that's going to take the longest, which I think is the toilets that they've created for it. But again, it's just a Raspberry Pi connected to it. That's for a filament printer, for the PLA and ABS and that. I've also got a Raspberry Pi, which is where the little one came into it. That's how I remember. The little one is connected to my resin printer, so I can control the resin printer. Not that I ever do. I actually converted the... Now I've thought what I used for. I converted the Raspberry Pi Zero into a portable USB drive. And I'm just going to snooze this break. It says snooze for 5 minutes. I'll keep an eye, because I've snoozed the break, but it's snoozed for 5 minutes. And I can't stop the breaks happening, because obviously it helps with the revenue. Yeah, so the Raspberry Pi I've got in there is acting as a USB dongle. So what I do is I can remote connect to this wireless USB drive and put all the Chichu files in it for the resin printer. So that's something else you can do with them. So that's what that one was for. So obviously, like I say, 3D printing, that is possible as well. Don't know why my screens went all weird. So what was that one? That was this one. Free minimum paid for OSs. Again, digital signing, 3D printing. So people are obviously selling OSs. I don't agree with that. Linux should be free. Remote manage your print anywhere in the world. I can do that with Octopi. But again, why would you want to remote access it throughout the world? It's one of these things you should be pretty close by in case anything happens. Digital signage, I can understand that one, because you don't really need to do much with it. I may play with these at some point. Thin Linux, Debian Linux for Raspberry Pis. Yeah, don't know what they are. But obviously, Android OS for Raspberry Pi, so people have already started putting the Android operating system on the Raspberry Pis to play around with it. What else we got? Bootloaders. Don't need to play around with that. You do that inside. So, obviously to start this off, and it might work doing this. Yeah, I could kick this off, make myself a coffee and run an ad, and then obviously when the ads are finished, we'll be good to go to the next part. So what you would do is, as I say, pick your OS, which Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit, that's what we're going to be using for this Raspberry Pi. If you want to follow along. The one I'll be using, if I just go into other, and this is where I made the mistake yesterday, use the light, not the full. Right? The light is less to install. You haven't bloated the machine out itself. It's not going to have loads of crap on there going, what's that? They used to have a lot of bloatware in there. We didn't need it. So they've created the light version. That's what we're going to go for. The reason yesterday was taking so long is because I did the full one, which says it's 2.6 gig download. Yes, it is. But you need a minimum of 11 gig SD card. And currently I've got in there an 8 gig. That's why it was taking so long. Sorry, 16 in this one. What I've got at the side is an 8 gig. And that's when I realised, oh right, it says it needs a minimum of 11 gig. So I wouldn't bother with a full, just use the light. So I'm using the light version only. Choosing your storage. I've got a few drives there. Snooze again. See, I'm having to snooze them again. I'm going to run it soon. It was a quick 5 minutes. So obviously it's 3 drives there. 2 of them at the top there. The Buffalo and the Western Digital Elements. They're USB hard drives, obviously. The SD cards at the bottom there. If you don't have any USB sticks in there or USBs plugged in, which is ideal not to, so don't make a mistake, you'll only see one. I know this is the 16 gig. See, I said 8 gig before. Because I've put the 8 gig in here, I don't need it to be that big in this one. 16 gig. Click on that. Click on the right. Gives you the confirmation of, are you sure this is what you want to do? And obviously we know, yes, we do. We do want to run this. So hit the yes. It's now raising that SD card. It's preparing the operating system. And as that's preparing, and well, there we go. It's preparing to write to the open drive. So obviously it's connecting to it. Writing at 0%. Once it's done the write, it does the checking to make sure is it 100% year on year. And then it's going to run from that. So while that's doing that, obviously we'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm going to make myself another coffee because this one's gone a bit too cold. We'll move on to the next steps and take it from there, and obviously get this all powered up. So yeah, and what I might do actually is take the SD card from out of this one, plug the one that we're writing if it's written in time. So obviously there's no cheat shortcuts you're going to see start and finish of what's going on. So yeah, I'll run the ad and then we'll be back. So make yourself a coffee. See you in 5 minutes. Right, it's telling us the community is back. The ad is over. Obviously, if you're a subscriber, you would have not seen the ads, but obviously, just those who, or if you're watching the video on demand. Yeah, so that is still at 34% writing. Do we wait it out? Debating whether we'll wait it out or not. Just see how long it's taken to tick through. Nah, it's taking a little bit too long. So I'll get that other SD card. I say I've literally just took it out. So if that had finished, I'll just say I'll leave it running there. If it had finished, then
what you do is take the Pi out the holder. So obviously on the opposite side there is the SD card reader. So opposite side of the USBs and the Ethernets. Pop that in. When we pop that in, it does have the spring in it as well, so it's easy to remove. Once that's in, that's it. We're good to go to power up this little machine. So I'll just put my screw back in there. Now, as I say, this one doesn't have Wi-Fi built into it. Newer ones, and if you haven't got one, you're buying one, it'll have Wi-Fi built into it. Obviously, I'm using the dongle. I did want to use PiFinder to show you this is how you find the IP address. That seems to not work anymore, or I think it might just be because of my network in the house, the way I've got it set up. There's the other screw. So the only thing I can recommend you doing if you don't know the IP address, which you won't because it'll be first time booting up, is just check your router. If you do need help on finding, check your router, drop a message and I can point you in some guides of finding the IP address of the router. Or you can plug the HDMI cable in and watch your TV and it'll tell you what the IP address is. But obviously I know what the IP address is of this machine, even though it's not powered up. And the only reason I know what the IP address is, the USB, like every network device, has a MAC ID. And the MAC ID, I use that elsewhere because it's not originally for this, it's actually for the arcade machine. So when I look, it's actually the arcade machine IP address that I use. So once this is all done, yeah, all we need to do then is, let's see, I've got no keyboard, nothing plugged into this. Micro SD, no, need to check the live camera. USB-C, the USB power connector. It's not plugged into the mains. What you're seeing dangling here is actually what charges these headphones. It isn't full power like it should be, but for what we're using, it's fine. So obviously we'll plug the power in. We've got a few LEDs flash up, and all it is, red, it's on, green, it's reading the SD card. So obviously that's busy powering up right now. I do have putty ready, so if I move putty just to the side there, I'll leave that right in the background so we can see it. So this application putty is what I use to do all my Linux related things. So I'll just grab this, which is 87. Just prepare this ready. So yeah, putty is basically for terminal commands. So you can get the operating system, what is true Linux, as I keep saying to people. If you want to play with Linux, this is how you do it. Start at the basics, command prompt, everything. So obviously you type the IP address in, just in that box there. The port, because SSH, it's 22. You can do serial connections if you wanted. If you wanted to plug directly into these GPIO ports, which you can't do. The new machine actually has the UART, which you can plug direct into and read what's happening live, which I've done with a few routers. It's been quite fun. So yeah, all we do is IP address in there. Ignore the bottom, that's just because that's all my saved servers I've got now. IP address in there. Open it up, and there we have, that you can't see at the moment, the terminal. So what I'm going to do is hide the camera.
Okay, we don't need that one. So here we are. This is the Linux terminal. And the username, obviously that's what it's asked for, is Pi. And the password is Raspberry. Or it used to be. No, it's not. They've changed it. It used to be that. What have they changed it to? It's just going to duplicate the session. Let's just try this. Root. Oh no. It's not. It's not that. Might have to backtrack a second, yeah. Yeah. Missed something out. Too busy quick trying to jump ahead with this. Right? I want to cancel that, right? Let's look at this again, right? So obviously I selected the OS, selected the storage, just clicked right. It's actually the cog. Forgot about this part of the side of things. So if you do the cog, you can set in what you want your settings to be. So that's how this connects to the Wi-Fi. Didn't think. So obviously I can set the host name. You can put whatever you want. So this one could be rasp JMRI. That's what I'll call this SD card I'm going to write. So obviously that's the computer name. The Raspberry Pi is going to be called that. Because obviously going to write it in the configuration file of the SD card. Enable SSH, which is what we're trying to do there now, which is where you set the username password, which will be that. I know that. Obviously I'm not going to do the next bit, but obviously configuring the Wi-Fi. This is where you put in whatever your Wi-Fi address is, and then obviously you would type your password. And this is the reason I'm not doing it, because it's clear text, so I'm not going to show you what my password is, and that's not even the correct SSID. Then obviously setting your locations, you could change it to whatever country you are, click save, and once you click save, if I can take that, click save, then you can write it. That's where I went wrong. So on this one, it actually has been set up. If I restart it, my username, my password, and there we go. We're now into the world of Nogoth Raspberry Pi, and that is the computer name. So that's what I call this one, the 1PI RPI. So that's where we're into the Raspberry Pi itself. I'm pointing down here, like you can see. But as you know, all I've got plugged in this Raspberry Pi is the power, a USB Wi-Fi dongle. That's it. There's no keyboards, no screens, and that's this here. So the next thing we need to do, because we can't remote into it through VNC and see the desktop, is first thing that I always recommend once you're into this screen, if you type in sudo, which is super user command, then do apt update. What that is if you're used to Windows updates, that's literally all it is. Check for updates. When you click that button, that's what the command's doing. So sudo space apt space update. That's doing check for updates. So that's now going checking to the Raspberry Pi's official repository of all the updates for this version of the Raspberry Pi, which is Bullseye. That's what kernel we're on at the moment. It's currently Bullseye. It's downloaded the 13 meg there, as it shows, in 26 seconds. It's now checking against that list, against what's on here, and goes, what's there available to update. So we'll just wait for that to finish, which normally doesn't take that long. So obviously it's saying something's changed there, so it's gone from Bullseye in release, changed suite from stable to old stable. So obviously there's a newer version coming out, which will be Bookworm. Bookworm's the new variant, but that doesn't matter. That's fine, right? 70 packages can be upgraded. I only did this SD card yesterday from the Raspberry Pi Imager. So all we do again, good thing is I don't have to type that out again. I could type it out again. I could press up goes to the last command. If there was multiple commands, you could press up and you can go through all your historical commands that you've typed in. I don't want to do update. I want to remove the date and put grade. So sudo space apt space upgrade does the reading of the packages, checks what is available. Pardon me. They are the applications that are available to update right now as we speak. It needs 111 meg to do this. It's going to free up 5 meg of disk space. Do you want to continue? Yes or no? So let's hit the yes. So that then, obviously, it's not doing the check update, like check Windows updates. We've now done download and install. That's what we're doing there now. Again, just done through the keyboard. Terminal commands, no GUI, right now to do the updates. This is how I prefer doing it because I can see exactly what it's going to be doing. You can do this in the GUI when it's all up and going. I don't bother. And obviously we can see the bottom line, the yellow line. Obviously that's where it's up to. It's got 10 seconds to download, finish downloading the whole lot. This is where I think it's a lot quicker. I know 111 megs, not that much, but you got to remember it's a little tiny computer using Wi-Fi to get out on the internet, pull back, right to an SD card, which obviously SD cards, the technology yet isn't the quickest SD cards. It's not like the super SD cards that we've got now. So it's just finishing off the last part there. It's just reading the change logs, so it's just seeing what has changed, because what they have is every application has a manual and it's accessible in terminal as well. So if you wanted to know how something worked, you type in man space for manual and then the application name. So I'll show you one once we get this up and past the change logs. Oh, now it's doing the install. It was just doing the download before. So it's got 1% complete. Now, even though that's running there like that, I can actually duplicate the session and log in again. So while that one's doing the update at the bottom there, I can still work on the machine through terminal. You can pass the update to the background so you don't see this happening, but I like to have it where it's interactive just in case it comes up with an error. So I was saying, if you wanted to know how something works, you can type in man and then add user. That's on the applications, and that's the manual for adding a user. So obviously add user, add group, what it is. You press space to go through. You can press the up cursor, the down cursor, whatever you wanted. H for help, which is basically just telling you exactly what I've just showed you, gives you a few more bits. I've never used that. Enter to go more, space as I say, jumps, Q for quit. So I've just done Q twice there to completely quit out. Do man. There's no manual for Raspberry Pi config. I'll show you that one. So if I just do clear, so clear the screen. One thing I like about Linux, it knows itself. So if you think when you do the find, looking for an application, you'd have got your Windows Start menu. It sort of has its own in the GUI. It has a rough idea of what application in there because they normally put in a bin folder. So if I do ls, which is your dir, so basically in File Explorer it's like, well, look at the current folder in ls, shows where there's nothing there. Yeah, there's nothing. I do cd ... goes back to home. So if I do that, obviously we can see the no-goth folders there. I always put -ltr at the end because if I just do ls, it just shows you that's what's there. Blue's a folder, green's an executable, white's unknown, I think yellow is a compressed file, that's what they called it. We don't need to know that yet, because obviously we're not going to do much in the terminal side of things. We are going to hit the GUI for what we're going to be doing in there, and obviously using the terminal within the GUI. But one thing I like about about Linux is I didn't know the full name of a command. So if I type in rasp and go, oh, what was it again? What's the rest of that command? If you hit tab, it fills in the last letter what it could potentially be. So obviously there's only one thing out there which is called rasp, which needs an I. It's like, right, is that it? No, it's not that one. So if I do that again, then hit tab again and again, that lists all the applications, sorry, all the executable files on here, which was raspi, then something after it. So you've got raspi-config, raspi-gpio, raspi nfo, raspi still, raspi vid, raspi dyuv, and whatever they are. One we need, if we do dash, we can hit tab again. It's now narrowing it down. So if you had a big stream of text and going, oh shit, there's a load there, we need to limit that down. You could just type in what's potentially the next character. Have a do config and hit enter. I'm just tabbing between the machine screens there. It shouldn't really let me in yet because I'm not a sudo user. Because obviously sudo is like a UAC that you have on Windows of like, are you sure you want to execute this command? Yeah, so there we go. It took a while because obviously it's processing at the bottom here doing the update. So it's doing a firmware update right now. So obviously you need to type in the sudo and it's telling you need to run this as a root. Try sudo space raspi-config. So if I do that, sudo space rasp, I'm not a one finger typer just because I'm switching over the computers, config, enter. I'm just going to come out of that a second. I want to wait for that update to finish just because I can see it touching a lot of firmware stuff. So I don't want to be in that. Even though you can still access an application and it can still update itself. It's just obviously when you come out of it, it'll save what it needs to, but you're not going to get the latest. I thought that was my postman coming to the door. That's not. I am waiting for a delivery. Yep, it was. Be right back in 2 seconds. Yep, delivery. So while that's still updating, I'll check this. Again, this is for the model railway when we start getting a bit further in. Gotta love unpacking stuff. Hate packing whatsits. Awful things. Like that there. So what I bought here is some cars, HO cars, HO scale cars, sorry, to go on the layout when we come around to doing it. So these have come from Oxford. While that's doing that, I might as well show you on the camera.
So a couple of Mustangs and that, some little sporty cars. I'm not doing a 1950s setup, I'm doing a weird concoction. So obviously everyone likes the classic cars and these are what they've pulled off classic car wise. So yeah, that's just arrived today. I like that. I've got another one that's meant to be here from Amazon, which I'm a bit annoyed it hasn't popped through yet. So that's on its way as well. Stupid, what's this?
So there we go. That killed some time. We can see there it's done the final part of what we needed. Sorry, of the update. So I just maximise this one. If I press up, last command, sudo raspi-config. Boosh. Enter on that. So this is where we can configure this machine a bit more. So system options, you've got a lot in here. If you want to change your wireless, your audio, your password, host name, what you're going to boot up to. So obviously I want to change the boot, and I want it to boot into the desktop. If you were not going to use the GUI, you could just have the console. You can have the console where it automatically logs in. You can boot it to the desktop where it doesn't log in, or you can do it where it does log in. So if I do that, do sudo apt-get. It does say apt-get, but apt space. They're getting rid of the -get. I think they're just letting people know it's still there, but obviously it will be phased out. It's been trying to phase out for a couple of years now. So yeah, it wouldn't let me do that yet, because what I need to do is interface. Obviously SSH we know is enabled, so I didn't need to go into that because we're already in the SSH server. Interface, we'll want VNC. Again, all I'm using is the cursor. Enter. Would you like the VNC server installed? Yes, I do. So this is now going to install VNC, which there, 160 gig. 160 meg, not gigs. Yes to that. So when it's going to do that, it's actually going to install the GUI. It's going to install the server. Everything's going to be up and running for us to do what we need to do. Now 17 seconds to run this one. So we'll just wait for this to tick through. This is like, when I did speak to people yesterday, like, I don't know whether to prepare all this ready. So I'm just reading message because it's our Grace's birthday party soon, and I'm just double checking that the invites are going out and see messages. Yeah, I said to people, like, I could go and have everything prepared and go, look, here it is, you know, SD card, and then we're in. We're going to, obviously it is taking a bit longer, but we're going to see what you need to do for this. Like, you can see how long it's taken, and it doesn't take that long. You're not waiting for hours to get through all this. I said, like, it's downloading everything there. Now it's unpacking it and installing it. It's getting everything ready to run the VNC server and the GUI. And obviously the GUI itself isn't that big. The GUI is the graphical interface, and that's all the GUI is. So I'm just going to move that over here, because what I can do is fill in what I needed to do over here. And set off my other SD card, save, right, yes. So now I've got that other SD card up and running. Do what it needs to do. Get the OS on it. Just while this finishes off. Because once it's finished and we do the reboot, I can then show you how to VNC into it. Then you'll see the full operating system. And then it will be left at that point. That's as far as we'll be going with this today. Just getting you up and running. .deb files, they're basically Debian installer files. That's all they are. Like the compressed files. That's what they are, sorry. doing the final setups, creating the sim links, which is basically shortcuts. So if it goes there, it'll go to this location. Again, could end up typing all them out manually. Don't need to. Don't need to. It's doing all of this for us. It's starting the server, stopping the server, making sure things are all up and running. Obviously, it's telling us the command there. You can type in, you know, CTL, system control, space, start or stop, space, VNC server -x11 servers d.service. That's how you can start and stop the server. If you want to do it manually through the GUI, which I think it actually changes to systemctl space start space VNC server. That's where the symlinks start coming into it when it starts setting them up. So while that's doing that, I'll quickly show you the next bit. So I use an application called VNC Viewer. This is all of my VNC machines that I have. Look at that. It's already jumped this gun. It's all the VNC machines that I have knocking around. GMRI tracks is the train system. Koi Pond, obviously it's my Koi Pond. Orange Pi, this machine. Stream Machine, this the laptop when I used to do my streaming from there. Did multitude of things. All you need to do is right click in a white area, new connection, IP address or host name. What I'm going to do, we're going to try this because I call this machine 1RPI. We're going to leave that as that, and obviously it appears here. I don't think it'll run yet because obviously it might be running because obviously this is how quick. We didn't have to restart the machine. So obviously it's saying there's the machine. Are you sure you want to connect to it because it doesn't seem secure? Yeah, I do. Go on then. Then it's asking for the username and password, which is the login details that I have for the Raspberry Pi. It's got no desktop to show, but that shows that the VNC server is running. Now what I can do is I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to click back on the screen and click OK. We're then going to go back to the, not that one, the system options auto login. So back that one. And then go to B4, desktop auto login, OK. OK, I'm still not liking it. It shouldn't matter, it should be on there. Light DM. So remember Light DM, we're going to install that. I've never had to do that before. It's normally just done it. So I'll finish on that. So sudo apt install Light DM. So yeah, it needs to install the GUI. I just got to use the full on the other ones. So Light DM, this is going to install the GUI. So if I just do yes on that, let it run through. What's that? It needs 82 meg to download. It's 124 new applications to install. 48 seconds to finish. So we'll let us through. So obviously before that was just the VNC server it was installing. Once you've done this, we don't need to go back to it. This is why I thought this one was going to take a little bit longer than doing the LEDs and whatever. We're going to move on to the next steps. So that's why I knew I needed quite a bit of a chunk to get this bit going. And obviously time's are ticking. I've got a few things I need to get sorted in the house before 12 o'clock. And it's 11:11 right now. So hopefully we'll be done pretty soon. Which we to be honest, we are pretty much done. And it's got 1 minute 30 seconds. It's saying at the bottom corner there as it's doing the download. And that 30 seconds just literally disintegrated pretty quick. It's now got a minute. Because once we've getting into the machine, into the OS, we'll be stopping it there. Then obviously pick it up again. I'll not be streaming tomorrow. I say I want to do at least one a week. If he's off next week, I might do one on Friday. So obviously then it'll cover part 2, which is the LED side of things. That's the thing, I've got to paint the ceiling upstairs, so I need to get the loft ladders down and start cleaning the ceiling. That's what I want to do before 12. And actually see what I'm for lunch tonight. 20 seconds left on the download. So now it's doing the install, processing 2% so far. This might take the time. Running this. He says, and then it picks up 7%. So while that's doing that, what I'll do is I'll force an ad. Let's run an ad. So if you're not seeing the ad, it's 20 seconds left on the ad. We're only 40% complete. So obviously back 93% complete, so it's getting there. We're whizzing through. whizzing through it. Very, very close. We'll keep an eye on that other screen because it may bring up the desktop as soon as it's installed. If not, just rebooting the machine, rebooting of the Pi, should trigger it in. But actually what I'll be doing is going in and into the Raspberry Pi configuration again, just to double check that it's going to auto log in to the account that I have on here. So yeah, it hasn't went straight in there, so if we just go up, sudo Raspberry Pi config, number 3, interface options, not that one, scratch that, not number 3, number 2, not number 2, there. That's it. So back. Number 1, system options. Then S5 for boot auto login. Then B4 desktop auto login. Enter. Hasn't done anything yet, which is fine. Finish on that. Would you like to reboot? Yes, we would. What happens here is it kills the terminal for PuTTY. If I OK that. This machine's now rebooting, not that we know, but if I leave this screen on here, which is the VNC, to 1 RPI, obviously it says no desktop yet. If we just wait, as it's rebooting, I can see that the Pi is flickering on the cam, so I can move that to the side. We can see it's attempting, because obviously it knows that it's been off
for a bit. Obviously we can see the red power lights on there, the green one is going like the clappers. The screen for the VNC has moved slightly. And there we go, we're now the login screen. We're now running the GUI. So what we do here, so I reach over the camera, log in. Now the auto login was just for the Pi itself if you plugged it in directly, so it doesn't have to have the auto login. It's just habit setting it up like that. I didn't like that. The mic could still set itself up. Yeah, just wait a sec for it. Obviously we are jumping the gun straight away with it. It's definitely doing something because it's flickering. It might be because the user's already logged in. So what we'll do is we'll go back to PuTTY. What you do is if you click on the top right, not that you can see it.
Give it that camera. So the top right icon, if you do restart the session, it knows where it needs to go back to the IP address that I gave it earlier. So let's log in here. Username and password, obviously, up, brings back the last command that was sent. So we'll go back into here. System options, we'll remember that one. Boot and auto login. Change just to desktop. Finish. Yes, let's reboot again. We should see this screen will go black or a hazed grey colour. As it's rebooting, I'll fire up
Raspberry Pi cam on, so you can see it's still got the red power. Green light's now flickering. See if I click, there we go. So we're going to attempt to reconnect with the VNC server. For it to come back online. The thing is, if I did restart the session in the terminal, that would be pretty much instant. You can normally get the terminal straight away because the GUI's got to actually load up and boot itself up, boot the VNC server, boot the desktop up. That's what could take some time. You could even set it where it doesn't boot the desktop when it boots. Because obviously it'll free up some memory on the device. But as this is just trial, we're going through it, we'll just leave it as is. Just wait for this to kick in. So even though that's ticking away there now, I'll just reset the restart this. So you can see I'm in the terminal, but the VNC hasn't kicked in yet. I say once it's up and running, it's pretty much flies. Obviously it's a fresh install. So I'll log in. It's not liking it. Why is it not liking it? I'm not seeing this screen on widescreen. I've never ever seen this happen. So I may have to create a new video for YouTube. Very strange. So yeah, I think we'll have to revisit this one. I'll reset it again and then go, actually what was the problem? Because nobody just boots straight in. It could be that I've missed something off and I've always used the full installation. Obviously this was using the light one. So I could probably end up doing a part 1.1 on Raspberry Pi setup and revisit it, so I might have to do something Friday just to get the ball rolling. And at the end of the day, it'll cover. Like, we'll keep this one. We can see what we've done, and obviously go back if we need to do it again. We'll do the next one. I'll make sure it's up and ready. Adding in the bits that we need. Like, I'll write down steps myself on what I've done, because that should just go straight in. It's not as it's the incorrect password. Can I intentionally type the incorrect password? Type the correct password in. Let's try and log in. And I've got a good feeling it's a light DM. Good feeling. It's that GUI. I don't use light. It's LX session. That's the one I use normally. It's normally the standard one. But yeah, we'll revisit back to it. But no, thanks for tuning in today. This might not hit YouTube. It might. We'll see. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Cheers for the follow. You know, keep up to date. Obviously, we're getting there. It's a starting point, but at least we know what we can do bits here. Cool. Right. Well, I shall catch you all later. Thanks for tuning in.